Hello and welcome to another episode of Hot Mom's Dinner Club, bin number 14. All right, so we're going to start off our 4 meals. I got a great deal, an awesome deal on these chicken thighs. All of these for less than $5. So when you have something like this, you know you have more than enough for one meal, so you can always freeze some, or else you can go ahead and cook it all off, and then you can save, you can pull the meat for, chicken wraps, chicken salad sandwiches for lunch meals. So however you like to do that, if you get a great deal. But we're going to start off meal 1. We're going to make these chicken thighs, and I'm going to serve them with some loaded mashed potatoes. So I'm going to make regular mashed potatoes, and I'm going to add in sour cream and cheese and top them with green onions. So those are going to be awesome. And then I'm going to serve that with peas and carrots. The next meal, based on another great deal, $6.60 for this whole pork loin. So I'm going to use this to make some pork chops. And then I'm going to serve our pork chops with just a store-bought rice mix, any type that you'd like to buy, and glazed carrots on that meal. And then I'm going to use the remainder of that pork for meal 4, pork fried rice. Okay, so now we're moving into meal 3. That's going to be salmon cakes. I'm going to make some salmon cakes. I'm going to serve those with just regular mashed potatoes. I'm going to blanch some broccoli, and we're going to serve that with a lemon butter sauce. I'm going to show you how to make a quick lemon butter sauce. The last meal, that's the pork fried rice. So we're going to do a pork fried rice, cook off some pork with some vegetables, and we're going to have our rice. We can just lightly saute all that together, and we're going to serve the fried rice with some pre-made store-bought egg rolls. So, all right, so let's get cooking. All right, so I'm going to get started on meal 1. That is our chicken thighs. I'm going to cook these off in a hot skillet, okay? I'm going to cook them skin side down first. That's really going to crisp up their skin, okay? I'm going to get that skin nice and crispy. I'm going to turn them back over, and I'm going to finish them in the oven. They'll be about 25 minutes in the oven after I brown them on top of the stove in the skillet, all right? Searing them before you put them in the oven is also going to kind of sear in the juices. You can put them straight in the oven to bake them, but I'm going to cook them in an oven-safe pan, so I'm only using one dish. I'm going to brown them and bake them in the same skillet. So either way you want to do that. I put on mine just a barbecue rub and just a touch of salt, pepper, and oil with the barbecue rub. I'm also going to get our mashed potatoes going. Skin on mashed potatoes. I've already washed those and cubed those up. I've got them in the water. I'm going to boil those. You've seen me mash potatoes on several occasions, so I'm going to show that part real quick. And then I will show you what I'm doing. Basically, I'm just adding shredded cheddar cheese, sour cream, and scallions to the potatoes to make them loaded mashed potatoes. You can also add chopped bacon if you would like. We didn't have bacon going on anywhere else in this bin, so I don't have any bacon, so I'm not adding bacon. But if you had bacon, bacon is also nice in this as well. Then for our vegetable, we're just doing peas and carrots. I've got some frozen peas. I'm going to dice my carrots. I'm going to cook that in just water with butter, salt, and pepper in it. I'm going to throw the diced carrots in the boiling water first. I'm going to give them about a minute head start. Depending on the size, I'm going to make mine rather small, so I'm just going to give them a 1 minute head start, and then I'll throw in the peas. As soon as your peas are heated through, then your carrots should be cooked through, and that should be fine. You can drain some of the liquid out and hit it with a little more butter if you would like. But so anyway, I'm going to start it on my chicken thighs and get my potatoes on to boil. So our potatoes are mashed. I'm going to lay them out in this casserole and load them up with the good stuff. I've got cheddar cheese, scallions, and sour cream. You want to give them a taste now just to make sure that they're seasoned correctly. And if not, you'll add in a little more salt, pepper, or whatever else you need. these in the oven about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we're going to finish our peas and carrots. So there is meal one, chicken thighs with loaded mashed potatoes, peas and carrots. Simple but yummy. So now I'm going to start on meal two. I'm going to start by cutting our pork chops for this meal. I'm also going to go ahead and just cube up the pork for the pork fried rice, since I'm kind of already making a mess on the cutting board. I won't marinate the pork for the fried rice yet, but I am going to go ahead and cut it up into the smaller pieces. And that way when we go to work with it later, we're that much further along. So I'm going to show you how to cut this pork into pork chops, and also just to get the smaller pieces for the pork fried rice. So I'm just going to kind of straighten this off here at the end, and we'll use some of that for our pork fried rice. But then I'm going to start my pork chops. Now I'm going to do a fairly thick cut on this. This is a boneless pork chop. And you don't need to clean it up, really. You just go ahead and leave that on there. Unless you want to go ahead and take it off, you're more than welcome to, but it really won't hurt a whole lot to leave that little bit of a fat cap on there. If you want to take off some of this silver skin, you know, you can, but most of the time it's all right. And if you buy the pork chops, most of the time some of this is on there as well. So I'm just going to take that, kind of trim those up. And as you can see, we still have lots for the pork fried rice. So you probably won't even need to use all of this for your pork fried rice. But now on this one, I am going to clean this off for the pork fried rice. So we'll just get working on that. All right, so we got this all trimmed up, and we're just gonna cube this up into small pieces. I might make a couple of nice skinnier chops here for some breakfast chops, maybe for us come Saturday, Sunday morning. And then the rest is gonna be for the fried rice. So our $6 piece of meat got us all this pork for the pork fried rice, a couple of breakfast chops, and then some nice pork chops here, boneless pork chops, at least 7 and 8 ounces each on these boneless chops here. So that's a great deal for $6.60. So I've got my pork cut. I'm just going to get those marinated. I think I'm going to do mine in some dill, some parsley, some olive oil, salt and pepper. I'm going to get those marinating, and then I'll start searing those off. I'm going to get the rice cooked off just according to the package directions, and then I'm going to get the carrots working, and I'll show you how to glaze those carrots. All right, so I'm going to get the liquid going for the cooking of the carrots. So basically on this, we're going to do a couple tablespoons of butter, a cup of water, some salt and pepper, and we're going to do about a half tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to cut the carrots. I'm going to add this into there, and we're going to boil our carrots in this water. And then when the carrots are done, we're going to pull it out. We're going to reduce this water, and this is what we're going to glaze our carrots in. On the carrots, I'm going to do a fairly thick cut because I don't want these to turn to mush by the time they get cooked through and coated. So I'm going to do a nice chunky cut on these. Remember, you can save your ends for the stock. Just don't add a lot of carrot to your stock. Now I accidentally had these carrots out for just a bit, just long enough to kind of reduce this to show you that's the true French way, is actually that they cook and they glaze at the exact same time. But I did reduce it down just a smidgen. I'm going to toss them back in to coat them. You can hit these with some lemon juice. When in the beginning, when you're boiling them, you can add in some like crystallized ginger. You can put some dill in. I kept them a little basic because I've got the 4-year-old, and Maddie is pretty particular about her carrots, and she does not like lemon or lime. So so I just kept mine nice and simple, so she would eat them. But those are just going to get a little bit bubbly and caramelized on the outside. We're going to let them go on high. They're on high right now. And probably just about 2 minutes, and those will be done. And we're going to plate everything up. So there is meal 2. So we cut our pork chops ourselves there with a pork sirloin. We've got our cheddar broccoli rice mix. You can buy any flavor rice that you'd like. And then we've got our glazed carrots. See how they got the nice caramelization on them. I sprinkle a little parsley on top. And that is meal 2. Pork chops, broccoli cheese rice, and glazed carrots. And if you want, throw some bread on as well. I did not make any with ours. Got the rice. I figured that the rice and the pork chop was hearty enough. But if you want a dinner roll with that, feel free to add that as well. Here we are, moving on to meal 3. Okay, so this is salmon cakes. We're going to do the salmon cakes with just regular mashed potatoes. I'm going to make blanched broccoli and a lemon butter sauce. All right, so first of all, we're going to start preparing the salmon cakes. If you think your family has a aversion to salmon, you can always do just like imitation crab meat to make some crab cakes. You could do real crab meat. You could do a mix of imitation and real, or even just do tuna cakes. Like I said, if you don't think your family's going to like the salmon, that's fine. I just use canned salmon. You can use fresh salmon and cook that and then make your salmon cakes. I just bought canned salmon though. I'm gonna start cutting up all the vegetables, and I'm gonna throw in the salmon cakes. Then you're gonna see me saute those all off, and then I'm going to just assemble the salmon cake, kind of like a meatball, with some eggs, some breadcrumbs, some seasonings, the vegetables, and I'm gonna form the cakes. Okay, then we'll brown those off, and then we'll finish those in the oven. Meanwhile, we'll do the mashed potatoes and blanch the broccoli. The potatoes, I'll just steal the footage from meal 1 since we already mashed potatoes once in this bin. So I'm actually not going to make more potatoes. I'll steal the footage from bin 1, so you'll have that. You can use milk or heavy cream, butter, salt, and pepper for your potatoes. That's easy. Blanching the broccoli just like we blanched so many vegetables before. And then the lemon butter sauce will finish at the end, okay? So I'm going to start on my salmon cakes. I'm going to start by sweating out my vegetables. I've got diced onion and celery and some garlic in there. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to give that a few minutes, and then I'll add in the red pepper. I'm also going to season this up with salt, pepper, and dill. While they're cooking, I'm going to kind of pick through the salmon. Sometimes when you use canned salmon, you get some, I call them gnarly bits in there. I kind of like to use fresh salmon myself. I just bought the canned salmon for simplicity reasons. So I'm going to kind of lightly pick through that as well. Also, I'm going to chop up some scallions and some cilantro that I'll add in to all this. So I've got my salmon picked through, have my vegetables here. They've been laid out on the plate just to chill slightly. I've got my cilantro and my scallions cut. I've got my eggs. Got my breadcrumbs over here. I'm going to assemble these salmon cakes. I'm also going to add a little bit of mayonnaise and a little bit of Dijon mustard. Then I'm going to make the little patties, and then I'm going to dredge them again in breadcrumbs before I brown them off. browning off my salmon cakes. I've got a mixture of hot oil and butter here. I'm going to brown them on both sides and then finish them in the oven. Meanwhile, I've got the water ready to go to blanch the broccoli. As soon as the salmon cakes go in the oven, I'm going to drop the broccoli. So our salmon cakes and our broccoli and our potatoes are almost done. So we're going to start our sauce. We're going to start by simmering 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. We're going to reduce that down with the zest and juice of a half of a lemon. And then we're going to whisk in some cold butter. Our cream is bubbling rapidly and it's thickened, so we're going to actually remove this from heat, and then we're going to whisk in our cold chilled butter. You do need to do this kind of fairly quickly, and we'll season it up with a little bit of salt and pepper. This has to be real butter, okay? You can't use margarine or anything else like that. If you don't use real butter in your household, you could just add a little bit more cream and like put some stone ground mustard or something in this if you didn't want to make the butter sauce. Make sure all your butter is whisked in. Season it up with just a touch of salt and pepper. So here's meal 3, our salmon cakes with our mashed potatoes, our blanched broccoli spears, and then we have the lemon beurre blanc sauce. This is a very rich sauce, so you're just going to put a little drizzle over your salmon cakes. Salmon cakes, lemon butter sauce, mashed potatoes, and blanched broccoli. So now we're going to start on our 4th and final meal. First off, I'm going to get our rice cooking. Then I'm going to marinate our pork that we have already prepared. We've already got it cut up and diced up. So I'm just going to marinate that in some soy sauce. And then I'm going to scramble some eggs and get those cooling down as well. And then whenever we've got our rice cooked and our eggs cooled down, we're going to start sauteing everything together. We'll plug in our deep fryer, so that's working, so we can fry our egg rolls. And then we'll just start with sauteing the vegetables. Then we'll throw in the pork. Then we'll throw in the rice and then the eggs. At the end, we're going to toss in some peas. And then we're going to top the whole thing with cilantro and scallions. There is our pork fried rice with our egg rolls. So we did the pork with the vegetables. We hit it with some soy sauce, some scrambled eggs, the cooked rice. I did a jasmine rice on that. And then we served it with just a pre-bought store-made egg roll. You're welcome to make your own egg rolls. They are delicious, but they are time-consuming. So the ones I purchased actually came with sweet and sour sauce. So you can buy one that comes with sweet and sour sauce, or you can purchase a bottle of sweet and sour sauce if you need a little dipping sauce with that. Pork fried rice. So thank you all so much for joining me today for bin 14. So we started off this bin's meals with chicken thighs. We did our chicken thighs, we browned those off, and we served those with loaded mashed potatoes and peas and carrots. Meal 2, we did a pork chop. We did the pork chop with just a box mixed rice, glazed carrots, and we glazed those carrots in like a buttery, sugary salt water, and then the water evaporated down to make a syrup, and then we coated the carrots with that. The pork chops we cut ourselves from a pork sirloin that we used the same sirloin to make our pork for our pork fried rice. So meal 3, we did the salmon cakes. We did the salmon cakes and we served those with regular mashed potatoes this time, blanched broccoli, and a lemon butter sauce. Now the salmon cakes made several patties. If you don't use them all, you can actually just pop those in the freezer, and you can actually cook them from frozen in the microwave if you have a couple left over. So those are very versatile. Just pop them in the freezer if you have any left over. It was just 1 can of salmon, but it did make a dozen of those little salmon cakes. Our final meal, pork fried rice. So we had the pork that we cut in meal 2. We marinated that with a little bit of soy sauce, and then we started sauteing everything. We cooked some jasmine rice and cooled it down. We cooked some eggs and cooled those down, and then we sauteed everything together with the vegetables and the pork to make our pork fried rice. We got some egg rolls there and some sweet and sour sauce. So that's it. Bin 14. Thanks so much for joining me. Hot Mom's Dinner Club.